Hi, in this video we are going to continue the creation of the one-page web application. This is a list of suggestions how you should use this video. The notes for this video can be found at this URL, which is loaded here. Okay, and we have our example loaded in the IIS server here, and the IIS server is running. The server is running because it is started, and we are going to continue to create more fields here. And in the last video we created all the buttons and the text boxes and all the stuff. What we have done actually is what Visual Studio 2015 did was actually to generate the HTML code. Okay, so if you go to the source view here, click on that, you will realize when you drag something onto the screen, they actually generate all this for you. In theory, you can type in all this, but since Visual Studio generates all this, why don't we just use that? Okay, so in this video, what we are going to do is to create this effect. Sorry, I switch off the example. So what happened is, if we forgot to key in something in the interest rate and we do calculate, they will tell us that interest rate is required. So we need to do a validation. Okay, we can write code for that, or we can ask Visual Studio to generate for us. So we are going to do that, the input validation. We're going to create an input validation here. Okay, so we are going to use our toolbox. We are going to open up validation and look for required field validator. We're going to use this. Okay, and then we are going to do required field validator, and we are going to also use range validator. Let's do the required field validator first. So we drag this required field validator here where we want the error message to appear, and then we need to change the error message to interest rate is required. So we want to change that to interest rate is required. Okay, and then we want to change the display setting to dynamic, and the font we want to change the font color. Sorry, not the font. You can format the font, but I'm not going to do that. You can change the font color to, let's pick some kind of a red, shall we? Maroon. Okay, let's do that. Let's do maroon. Okay, and or you can pick red. The example shows red. Is this red? No, that's not red. Red? No. You know what? Let's pick maroon, okay? Alright, let's use maroon, and behavior. You can control its behavior, control to validate. I want to control tax interest rate to validate, okay? And then save, or come over here and test. So now if you calculate, they will tell you that interest rate is required. Okay, okay, but if you key in something, you don't see the error message. If you don't key in something, they will tell you interest rate is required. Probably it's a good idea to add a percentage sign here. Let me just fix that. Save. years. How many years? Click on. Sorry. All right, you cannot reload. You have to enter this. Okay, if you don't want to see that message. So now, if you want to calculate, it will tell you interest rate is required. And if you key in something, you don't see that. So the validation works. Okay. All right, that's a good place to stop. Thanks for watching. Okay. We'll continue this in the next video.